Morning in the highlands never arrives softly. The first light slices through the lingering mist in bright streaks of gold, waking the forests and rocky slopes all at once. On one such morning, a seasoned wildlife ranger named Daniel was making his usual patrol along a quiet ridge. With nearly a decade spent protecting the reserve, he knew the language of the wilderness well: the rustle of grass, the distant call of birds, the whisper of wind across stone. But that morning, a strange metallic clicking broke the silence. Daniel stopped instantly. The sound came from deeper in the brush, where jagged limestone rocks formed a narrow crevice. Moving carefully, he followed the noise until he found its source: a rusted poacher's trap swinging gently in the wind. Just a few feet away, hidden in the shadows, a tiny ball of golden fur trembled helplessly. The cub could not have been more than a few weeks old. Weak from thirst and shaking with fear, the little lion had clearly been alone for some time. Daniel quickly realized what had happened. Poachers had likely taken the pride, leaving the smallest member behind. The cub barely had the strength to lift its head. Daniel carefully wrapped the fragile animal in his worn jacket and rushed back toward the ranger station, hoping he had arrived in time to save it. Waiting on the porch was Nova, Daniel's loyal Belgian Malinois. Known for her sharp instincts and constant alertness, Nova immediately focused on the unusual bundle in Daniel's arms. At first she stood tall and cautious, her eyes locked onto the tiny creature. But when Daniel gently lowered the cub onto a blanket, Nova's posture softened. The intensity in her gaze faded, replaced by curiosity and something that looked almost like concern. Slowly she approached and began licking the dust from the cub's face. In that quiet moment, an unexpected bond was formed. The protector of the station had accepted a new responsibility: the abandoned cub. Over the following months, an extraordinary relationship unfolded. Nova didn't simply tolerate the young lion, whom Daniel named Leo. She guided him as if he were one of her own. With the discipline of a working dog, she taught the growing cub lessons in patience and control. At feeding time, Nova would stand firmly between Leo and his bowl, silently demanding that he wait. Even when hunger pushed him forward, a low rumble from Nova was enough to make the young lion sit back and focus. Only when she nudged him gently would he begin to eat. It was a strange kind of training, but Leo learned quickly. Strength meant nothing without restraint. As Leo grew stronger, the pair became inseparable. During daily walks through the reserve, the lion cub stayed close beside Nova, mimicking her movements and watching her every step. Their play was energetic but controlled. Whenever Leo became too rough, Nova would pin him gently to the ground until he relaxed. The large cub would then lick her muzzle in apology, accepting her quiet authority. Despite weighing far less than the lion she was raising, Nova commanded complete respect. There were also softer moments. On long, hot afternoons, Nova would carefully groom Leo's growing mane while he rested beside her, rumbling with deep, contented purrs. If anyone unfamiliar approached the station, the two would stand side by side, alert and protective, like members of the same pack. Though they came from entirely different species, their loyalty to each other erased that boundary. Eventually, Leo grew into a powerful young lion with a thunderous roar that echoed across the valley. For safety and conservation reasons, wildlife officials decided it was time to relocate him to a large protected reserve many miles away where he could live freely. The day the transport vehicle arrived was heavy with emotion. Nova sensed something was wrong immediately. She circled Leo anxiously, refusing to leave his side. When the cage door opened, the lion hesitated and pressed his head against Nova one last time. As the truck drove away, Nova stood silently before releasing a long, mournful howl that carried across the dry landscape. More than a year passed. Leo matured into a magnificent adult lion, while Nova began to show the first signs of age. One scorching afternoon, as she rested on the porch, Nova suddenly leaped to her feet and stared toward the distant tree line. Moments later, a massive figure emerged from the shimmering heat. It was Leo. Somehow, He had traveled across miles of wilderness and barriers to return to the place he once called home. When he reached the yard, he lowered his front legs into a playful bow, the same greeting Nova had taught him long ago. The reunion was pure joy as the lion gently nuzzled his old guardian. Leo stayed only a few hours, resting peacefully beside Nova under the shade of an old tree. When the reserve team arrived, he calmly stepped back into the transport vehicle, as if his mission had been fulfilled. Later reports revealed that Leo had become known for protecting vulnerable cubs in the wild, showing an unusual patience and calmness rarely seen in lions. Nova, meanwhile, seemed at peace again. She had done her job. She had raised a king. Stories like this remind us that loyalty, kindness, and love are not limited by species. Sometimes the strongest bonds form in the most unexpected ways. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like and share it so others can experience it too. Feel free to leave a comment about a special animal bond you've witnessed, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories from the wild.